dear listeners, like that feeling when you sit down to write and nothing comes. Happened with me. I wrote two books, but trust me, same with the first one, same with the second one. I knew about the topic, but then when I started writing, I thought, what I'll write? I'm not gathering like how to start, which one I'll write first. It happens, right? Not because you don't have the words, but because something deeper is tangled. Like you stare at the screen, you rearrange the scenes, you tell yourself the story is not good enough yet. And the longer you wait, the heavier. So today we are talking about what really stops writers, and it's not always the story itself. Sometimes the block lives in the writer, not the speech. So I'm your host Avik, and you are listening to Mind Meets Machine, dear listeners, a space where we slow down and look at the questions most of us are too busy to ask. And joining me as a very lovely guest, please welcome Elyse Seal. So welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for joining us, Elise. And dear listeners, like before we get into the discussion, I'll quickly love to introduce you with Elise. So she's a certified book coach and developmental editor who spent 6 years helping fiction authors get unstuck by diagnosing what's actually broken, not just kind of polishing what's already on the page. So we will have a definitely great conversations, dear listeners. Stay with us and let's get started. So Elise, a lot of people assume that writer's block is just about not knowing what happens next in the story. So what do you think is the most common misconception you see when authors come to you feeling stuck?
Well, writer's block, there is a craft side of it. And a lot of the craft side is very much like they haven't gotten curious enough about usually a character. And going with the craft side, just super quick, it's like usually what they don't know about their character is what they want, kind of what I call the wound that they have. And that is kind of what's getting in their way, but on an internal level. And then how do you actually want this character to change? And so that's the biggest thing that I see with writer's block. But the other thing is like two things that I've seen when it comes to the author. Number one is imposter syndrome. Like I have had an author where she literally told me during coaching, it's like, who am I to write about this? Because like I have struggled with this certain thing. Like she was writing about gentle parenting and she was like, I felt like I was a terrible parent throughout my life. And so who am I to actually write about this? And I actually told her, you're the right person precisely because you've struggled with this and are working it out in real time alongside your reader. And like the other thing that I really see is perfectionism. And I see this in when I tell an author like, hey, this book is ready. This book is ready to be published. And they say, no, I need like one more proofreader. Or when we're starting and there's like, this first chapter needs to be perfect before I move on. Or I just have to get that world building figured out before I actually start like writing my story. Or like my favorite one, I call it procrastinating. I was like, I just have to learn this one thing more before I actually start writing. And that feels productive because you're like, I'm getting better at writing, but you're not actually writing. You're just procrastinating because you don't know what to do next.
Exactly. So when they realize that it's not the plot that's broken, so then what do they usually discover? Okay. We'll stop. It shows me that yours is not recording. Can I just check? It just given me the message that it's not recording. Suddenly it stopped. I don't know. No, why this? Can you just join back again? Do not leave. Leave this meeting room and again join the same link. Maybe network interruptions happened. Maybe. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure. Yes.
All right.
Now recording.
Are
Yeah.
we recording again?
Yes. No. Whatever we did, it's already done. From this, the question I shared. So you just start with the answer. So previous, it is recorded, but yeah.
Okay. So I actually had a client who she thought she was done with her book. So she went to a copy editor and he looked at her and he was like, you've got problems with your character, and absolutely devastated. So she came to me, and you're right, her plot was just fine. What was wrong is her main character was very passive. Like, every other character was driving the story except him, which
Mm,
in stories, we always want the main character to be taking action and making decisions that drive the story. Like, we are experiencing the story through their eyes. And he honestly was experiencing the story alongside of us instead of actually doing anything. So instead of the plot being the problem, again, like I see so often, it was the character. So what we had to do is, we went deep into this main character's psychology and really figured out what he wanted and how that changes throughout the book and how she wanted him to change, because she'd already written the entire series, but she was going back to work on the first book. And so we had to figure out, where does he start and where do we want him to end just at this
mhm,
first book? And there needs
correct.
to be like an arc of change, but it's like, we also need to see what's holding him back, not only on the outside with other characters and situations, but also inside
Yeah,
himself. And once we
exactly.
did that deeper work, it's like, all of a sudden she figured out like how to change a scene here, where we needed to add some, where we needed to delete some. And the
Mhm,
plot just started clicking and was just such a better read.
got it. Got it. So, I mean, yeah, like that makes so much of sense because we spend so much of time trying to fix the outside when the real tangle is the internal part. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And you mentioned the imposter syndrome and kind of perfectionism as two big reasons writers stall. So, what do you think is the kind of root of that? Like, why does the internal critic get so loud? So loud, right? Someone is trying to create something meaningful.
It's a 100% fear of judgment. It's like, a book is an extension of an author. Like, there
Mhm.
is so much of an author in a book. Like, a lot of times you get their worldview, you get their
Yeah.
experiences. And so to put that out there, and also like a book, you also go into the mind of a character and the emotions. And a lot of times, to write well, authors have to be vulnerable. They got to wear their emotions on their sleeves. They put their whole heart and soul into this. And so that fear of judgment, like especially as we get closer to publishing, I see it come out more and more. It's just like, and I always encourage my authors, it's like, we want this to be the best it can be.
Yep.
But I also tell them, your book is not for everyone. Like,
Mm.
there are going to be some people who read it and are like, I didn't like this book, or I thought it was trash.
Yep.
And take it with a grain of salt. They weren't your person. But there are going to be people that you write this book and they're like, this changed my life. And it's like, one of the ways that I really like, there's two questions I always ask my authors. And I'm just like, this is the best way to really tell if you have a good book and you know exactly what you want from this book. And the first one is, what is your why?
What is
Like,
why?
what is the deep level why that you are writing this book? Like, not, I want to make money, or I've had this ideas for years and I just want to get it out. Those are valid, but it's not the deeper reason. Like, what experiences of yours are you actually processing through this book? Or like, what are you trying to say through this book? What are you trying to share with people? Because that is what's going to make it worth it. That's what's really important to you. That's really going to come through this book. And the second one, in the book community, we call it theme. What's your theme? But I call it like, what's your point? Like, what are you arguing for? Because every book argues for something, even if you don't realize it. It's like, you said you've written 2 books. It's like,
Yep.
both of those books are arguing for something, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. Like, just real quick, like Harry Potter. It's like, that book is arguing that love always overcomes evil. If you think of like, we'll go to Romantasy, A Court of Thorns and Roses. Like, if it's true love, it requires choice and that freedom of choice. If we go to like Dungeon Crawler Carl, that's
Mhm.
really popular right now. It's like, staying human means staying kind, even when the system rewards cruelty. And those two questions help you to see like what your book is really about and who your people are, and helps you see clearly what's really important about your book. And that helps. It doesn't completely clear the perfectionism and the imposter syndrome, but when we can keep going back to that during the hard times, like it helps so much.
Exactly true. Yeah. And like also, I mean, do you think that voice gets louder the closer someone gets to actually finishing?
Yeah, because like when you're in the beginning, like I always try and help my authors to see the end of the road, even when we're beginning. But, you don't quite believe it until the rubber is about to meet the road.
True.
You're just like, you finally have to actually put that book out there. It's like
Yeah.
you're finished with the writing and the editing. Like it's ready to be sent out to everyone else. Like this is when you are judged, whether it's for good or for bad. And so that's, yes, the voice gets much louder when reality really hits.
I agree. Totally agree. Yeah. And so I definitely love to, I mean, before we go there, like it's really, I mean, it's almost like the stakes rise the moment something starts to feel real. The more we care, the harder it becomes to keep going. So yeah, I mean, there's the cruel irony. But someone who is listening right now, or maybe they're listening, so who writes or creates anything really? So how does this show up for them day to day? Like, what does it actually look like when the block is internal and not about the work itself?
It's like how this shows up day to day. One big way that it shows up is I can't. I like every author that I've ever worked with has at least one thing in their writing where they struggle to learn it. Like I had an author who really struggled to have her characters express emotions on the inside and the outside. And like she had a full on crash out on me one day, which is actually quite normal. It's like authors, please understand that like having crash outs like while you're writing is perfectly normal and it's okay to have them. But it's like, and she was telling me, she was like, this book is going to be awful. Like, I just can't get it right. Like, I'm never going to figure this out. And I was like, okay, yes, you are struggling right now. You are frustrated. And that's legit. It's like, we can stay in that frustration for a minute, but it's like, this is a skill that we are learning. And so you can get better at it, but it is one that you struggle with. And so it might take a little while. And so what we did is I got her different resources. Like I was like, okay, here's a book I want you to read. It's like, let's go through some exercises together so that you're not working on it on your own. Like you're working with me. And I'm going to say it took us about a month. And she was like, you know what? I'm really figuring this out, and just thank you. And that's the power of not basically saying, I can figure this out. It's frustrating, but I can figure it out. And also to all my authors, please have community. It's like, if you are struggling, come to an expert like me, like a developmental editor, a book coach. If you can't afford that, it's like critique partners, beta readers, Facebook communities. It's like have someone that you can get second eyes on your work, because that makes a huge difference.
That second eye is very important. Yes, definitely. And when you name that with a client, then what shifts?
It's like, I think, well, naming what specifically? Like the problem?
Yeah, you can take it like the problem or the instance. Yeah.
Like once we name the problem, then you have like an active, like, you know exactly what the problem is instead of it being a vague, like, I'm not sure what the problem is. Like so many authors that come to me are like, well, like I've been working on this book for a while and something's off, but I can't figure out what. Once we've named it, it's like, that's a big thing. And so often people will see the symptom of the problem, but where you come and work with a developmental editor or a book coach like me, we are trained to get to the root of that problem. Like I said, like people who think they have a plot problem, but actually it's a character problem and they just couldn't see it. But once we see it, then we can actually like go deeper into that. And it's like specifically attack that instead of being broad. It's like I it's like I went to school as a nurse first before I became a book coach. And it's like using specific antibiotics instead of the broad spectrum. It's like you're attacking exactly what you know is the problem.
Yep. So, I mean, if I say like, if you have to give one advice to the listeners today, what will you give?
Sure. There's so many things I could say, but the one thing that I really believe in as a book coach is community, and that having community helps you, like with your crash outs, having people who will be there to encourage you and like who have struggled with the same things. Having someone to get second eyes being like, what in the world were you thinking? Like, we'll give you that tough love. Won't just tell you,
Yeah.
"Oh, your writing's amazing," because you don't need that. It's like, it's good to have the encouragement, but it's good to have someone call you out and be like, no, this isn't working. And I always tell people, especially if it's your first book, you need a developmental editor.
Mm.
Because if it's your first book, no matter what, you're a beginner and you don't see your patterns. So I always beg everyone who's writing their first book, get a developmental edit. I know it's expensive, but it's 100.
Yep, that's really helpful. And dear listeners, do check out and also think about it, because this will gonna definitely help you in the long run. So why not invest here right now rather than thinking later, right? So this is most important. Yeah. And so Elise, like if listeners wants to connect with you, how they can connect?
Well, I'm on Instagram and TikTok at elise.j.seal. And one of the best ways to connect with me is I've got a tool called the Story Snapshot. And remember the two questions that I asked earlier? The what's your why and theme? Those are
Mhm.
the first two questions in my Story Snapshot. It's completely
Okay.
free. It's basically, it gets your entire story onto one page. It's 11 questions, and it really helps you to see the big picture of your story and to see where the gaps are. And so that's where I start with a lot of people. It's like, so you can like DM me and ask like, hey, can I get this? And fill it out. And a lot of people send it back to me, and I help them to see where the gaps are in their story. And just that one thing can help you get unstuck.
Amazing. So, dear listeners, what I'll do is I'll put all the links, details, everything into the show notes for your easy reference. And I'll just say, like, the block is not always in the story. Sometimes it is in the permission that we haven't given ourselves yet. So, yeah, that is very important. So, what I'll do is I'll put all those links, as I mentioned, into the show notes. And first of all, thank you so much, Elise, for sharing your perspective, your knowledge, and what you have seen in your experience and sharing with people. That is very, very great. And it definitely going to help people as well. And for everyone who is listening, or maybe will be listening later as well, I hope that this gave you the permission to look at your own stuck places a little differently, like not as a kind of failure, but as a signal that this is happening. Sometimes, or something in you is trying to protect you, and maybe it's a time to thank it. Keep going anyway, right? So, with this is your host Avik, and this is Mind Mates Machine. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much.